Hello and welcome to Learn English 24/7. Are you ready to take your English speaking skills to the next level? Today, we're diving into a special story that will not only improve your vocabulary but also help you speak confidently. We know how important it is to feel sure of yourself when speaking English, so this video is designed to help you do just that. In today's video, titled, Learn English Through Stories, Graded Reader, Speak Confidently, we will be using a carefully chosen story that's easy to understand but packed with useful language. Whether you're a beginner or looking to refine your skills, you'll learn a lot from this graded reader. We'll break down difficult phrases, go over vocabulary, and give you tips to speak with confidence. By the end, you'll be able to use what you've learned in real conversations. Graded readers are books or stories written at different levels to help learners gradually improve their language skills. This method is perfect for anyone who wants to practice reading, listening, and speaking English all at once. You don't have to worry about complicated words or difficult grammar. Every story is tailored to your level, making learning English both fun and effective. In today's story, we'll meet a character who goes through a life-changing experience. It's a simple yet powerful story that's going to teach you a lot of new words and expressions. You'll also hear how to use these words in conversation, so you can speak confidently when you encounter them. Make sure to stay till the end because we'll also go over the key takeaways and practice them together. Before we begin, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to Learn English 24/7, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new lesson. We'd love to hear from you in the comments about how confident you feel when speaking English and what challenges you face. Don't forget to share this video with anyone who wants to improve their English too. Let's start the story. Our main character is Sarah, a young woman who has always been shy about speaking English. She lives in a small town where most people speak only their local language. Sarah has dreams of traveling the world, exploring new places, and meeting people from different cultures. But one thing holds her back: her fear of speaking English. Whenever Sarah tries to have a conversation in English, she feels nervous and unsure of herself. She worries about making mistakes or being judged, whether she's talking to friends or strangers. This fear keeps her from pursuing her dreams and limits her opportunities. This story is about Sarah's journey, how she faces her fear, learns step by step, and finally gains the confidence to speak English fluently. It's a story of courage, growth, and the power of persistence. Let's see how Sarah's life begins to change. For years, Sarah tried to avoid situations where she had to speak English. She would sit quietly in group discussions, avoid talking to tourists in her town, and even turn down opportunities that required speaking in English. Despite her efforts to improve by taking classes, reading books, and watching movies, every time it was her turn to speak, her mind would go blank. Words she knew well suddenly felt out of reach, and her fear of making mistakes would take over. But one day, after missing yet another opportunity to connect with someone because of her hesitation, Sarah realized she couldn't let this fear control her life anymore. She felt tired of holding herself back and letting her dreams slip away. That day, she made a decision: she would no longer run from her fear. Instead, she would face it. Sarah set herself a goal: to speak confidently in English. No matter how long it took or how many mistakes she made along the way, she promised herself she would break free from the barrier that had been holding her back. This was the beginning of her journey to change her life. Sarah started by reading simple stories, just like the one we're about to read. These stories became her gateway to learning. They helped her understand how words were used in different situations, making it easier for her to remember them. She found that reading in context gave her confidence, as she could see how the language flowed naturally. But Sarah didn't stop there. She pushed herself to speak out loud, even when she was alone. She repeated phrases from the stories and tried to use new vocabulary in her daily life, whether it was describing her day in English or practicing conversations in front of a mirror. At first, it felt awkward, and her fear of making mistakes still lingered. Even so, Sarah didn't give up. She reminded herself why she had started: to break free from her fear and live the life she dreamed of. With each passing day, she practiced a little more, slowly becoming more comfortable with speaking English. It wasn't easy, but every small step she took brought her closer to her goal. Sarah was finally on her way to building the confidence she had always longed for. As Sarah continued to practice, she began to notice something remarkable. The more mistakes she made, the more she learned. At first, she felt embarrassed every time she stumbled over a word or used the wrong phrase. But over time, she realized that each mistake was an opportunity to grow and improve. Instead of fearing errors, she started embracing them as part of her journey. One day, Sarah's progress was put to the test when she found herself traveling abroad. Lost in an unfamiliar city, she needed to ask for directions. Her heart raced at the thought of starting a conversation in English, but then she remembered the lessons she had learned from reading and practicing out loud. Taking a deep breath, she walked up to a stranger and asked for help. To her surprise, the conversation went smoothly. She didn't use perfect grammar, and her accent was far from flawless, but the person understood her and guided her to where she needed to go. That small victory gave Sarah a newfound sense of confidence. She realized that communication wasn't about being perfect, it was about being understood and having the courage to try. From that moment on, she felt stronger and more determined than ever to keep improving. A few months later, Sarah found herself standing in front of her colleagues, giving a presentation in English. It was a moment she had once thought impossible. But this time, she wasn't nervous or afraid. She spoke clearly and confidently, using the words and expressions she had practiced for months. Her voice didn't shake, and she no longer worried about making mistakes. Instead, she focused on delivering her message. As she finished her presentation, Sarah glanced around the room. Her colleagues were smiling and nodding, impressed by her performance. Many of them came up to her afterward to praise her for her improvement and courage. Their words of encouragement meant the world to her, but what truly mattered was the sense of accomplishment she felt within herself. In that moment, Sarah realized that her fear had been her biggest obstacle all along. Once she embraced her mistakes and faced her challenges head-on, she discovered that she was capable of so much more than she had ever imagined. This wasn't just a victory in speaking English, it was proof that she could overcome any fear if she believed in herself and kept moving forward. Sarah's story is a powerful reminder that anyone can overcome their fear of speaking English with the right approach and mindset. Her journey teaches us that consistent practice, whether through reading, listening, or speaking, can gradually build confidence and lead to incredible progress. By embracing her mistakes and refusing to give up, Sarah transformed her fear into strength. Her story shows that learning a language is not about being perfect, it's about taking small steps every day and having the courage to try. With time and effort, anyone can speak English confidently, just like Sarah. Now, let's go over some key phrases and vocabulary from Sarah's journey. These will help you start using what you've learned today in your own conversations. Remember, every word you practice brings you closer to achieving your goals. Let's dive in. Now, let's look at some important words and phrases from the story. I'll explain their meaning, and then we'll practice using them in sentences. Let's start with the word nervous. It means feeling uneasy or worried about something. For example, I was nervous before my English exam. Repeat after me, I was nervous before my English exam. Another useful phrase from the story is to break free. This means to escape from something that is holding you back. For example, she broke free from her fear of speaking English. Let's say it together. She broke free from her fear of speaking English. Speaking confidently is something that takes time, but there are simple steps you can take. First, practice speaking every day. Even if it's just for 5 minutes, try to speak out loud. Second, listen to native speakers as much as you can. This will help you get familiar with natural speech patterns. Lastly, don't be afraid to make mistakes, they're part of the learning process. You've now learned a lot from Sarah's story and the vocabulary we reviewed. Remember, the key to speaking confidently in English is consistent practice and not being afraid to make mistakes. So, what are you waiting for? Start speaking today. The more you practice, the more natural it will become. Thank you for joining us here on 24/7 English. We hope this video has helped you on your journey to speaking English more confidently. If you enjoyed this lesson, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We'll be back with more videos to help you learn English through stories. Until next time, keep practicing, and remember, confidence comes with effort.